It's Wednesday, time for the Daily Dose. Coach Dan Day, head football coach at St. Joseph's College. As always, our guest. Coach, thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Kenny. Thank you for having me.
A 10-3 loss to Truman State last week. Overall impressions of the game as it kind of played out as we talked about last week, where one mistake could turn the tide for you, and you had 3 turnovers in the fourth quarter that kind of sunk our chances as we kept continually marching down the field.
Yep, and that was the biggest difference. We talked about it this week, or last week, was when you're playing such a disciplined team, you can't make those mistakes. And we did a good job in the first 3 quarters of not doing that. And then clearly when it was a very, very important part and a very important time of that game, we had some critical turnovers that really hurt us offensively. I mean, we were able to move the ball, but at the end of the day, you got to finish. Especially offensively, you've got to find a way to finish and put the ball in the end zone to score more points, and that's what we didn't do. I give a credit to our defense, the way they played. I mean, they really held them to 7 points, and there was a turnover where we gave them the ball. I think it was like the 17-yard line, and the defense even bowed up there and held them to 3. So we put them in a bad situation, and they really, they obviously played pretty well. And I told those guys that you gotta keep battling, until obviously they're playing well, but your goal is 0-0, and our goal is to score 1 more point. So on both ends, we've got to do a little bit better job to make sure, we are going out and not just playing hard. I mean, we want the wins. We're out there to compete to get those wins. We've got to make sure we clean up those mistakes.
What did you learn about your team in the loss?
Yeah, again, Kenny, the biggest thing I'd tell you is they fought. I mean, you look down to the very last few snaps, and even being down 10-3, and we got the ball maybe 50 seconds left, 40 seconds left, and those kids were still working to try to put us in position to be able to go get that, and obviously we lost that tough one, and our guys after the loss, they sprinted to the locker room, which to me is important, that they're not hanging their heads. They understand we have to continue to learn lessons, and moral victories are great to talk about, but we want real victories, but the biggest thing I would say with our guys, they understand the process, they believe, and I've never seen other than one time we talked about earlier this year, that I've never seen them stop fighting, and this was another great example of even at a game that was pivotal for us and very, very important for the season. When we dropped that one, it would be easy to just kind of hang your head and quit, and they did. They just kept battling. We went in the locker room and talked after the game, and Joel Wimbley, one of our senior captains, one of the best kids I've ever coached, and a pleasure to be around. He says, hey, that one wasn't there. We didn't go out and take it like we needed to, but we got one more. We have one more opportunity, and there's no hanging our heads. It's getting back to work, and that's coming from one of your senior leaders. That's important. That shows, and they're showing the younger kids how to be leaders, when it's their turn, and doing a great job of just not quitting, not giving up, and continuing to fight even through, tough. We've had some tough losses, and Saturday was another one.
We move forward now to Indianapolis, last home game of the season. A couple of hard luck losses the previous 2 years against the Greyhounds. Do you really need to say much when Indianapolis is coming to town?
No, it's I'd be lying to say there isn't a different look at our guys' eyes and the way that they approach this one. They're hungry, and that's the biggest thing you want each and every week, is those guys to be hungry for that win, and they understand the challenge that's in front of them. I mean, we've had a tough back end of the season with some McKendree, with Truman, and now Indy, which are 3 of the best coach teams in the league. Discipline, hard work, everything they do is top notch, and we're ending it with 4-time conference champ, and a program coming in that has had our number for quite some time, and it's an opportunity for our guys to really cement their legacy and go out and work for this one. Go out and in a game that's a quote-unquote rivalry game, throw the records out the window, and it's going to be a brawl, and you just kind of you're excited to see our kids and how they attack that and see how they come out, and hopefully put everything they have into this last opportunity to go get a big win at home.
Unlike last week, you had 2 defenses last week matching up against each other that were really the strong assets of the program. Indianapolis, a lot of offensive weapons going up against your defense. Are you looking forward to that matchup?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's one thing that's been our strength, obviously, all year long is our defense. and their strength is number one, the O-line. I mean, you see their front five and the way they play, how physical they are. They're big, they're strong, and when they need to be, they're nasty. You know, they're a group of guys that play very well up front, and that kind of is the driving force for everything for a senior quarterback that gets a lot of time to be able to make good decisions. They have good running backs, and you know, clearly they have number 18 on the outside, who is a dynamic player, probably the best offensive player we've seen all year long, and we'll see obviously all year long. He's electric, you know, and it's going to be fun to see, you know, our defense and our defensive backs. How do you answer the challenge? You know, you talk about wanting to be the best, and we talk about how good we want to be. This is a challenge for you. You know, you are seeing the best as far as receiver, and you are seeing the best, in my opinion, as far as an O-line and a complete unit. So you want to be that unit, and you want to be the best in the conference. This is your chance, you know, to go out and prove it. And I'm very, very excited to see how our kids come out and attack it. I really am.
Coach, we appreciate your time. Good luck this week.
Thank you, Kenny. Appreciate it.